welcome back everyone to It's Morbin Time. Do you like memes? Yeah, me too. What if I told you that memes can impact society as well as make people laugh? Well, on this episode of It's Morbin Time, I will be explaining the benefits of memes. But memes aren't the main issue here, no. The issue is screen time. But memes and humor just happens to be a big positive when it comes to screen time. What is screen time? What is it about? What are the pros and cons? Keep listening to find out, and like always, it's Morbin Time. So if you've gotten this far, you are probably wondering, what is screen time? Why is it important and why am I talking about it? Well, the definition of screen time is the general activity of looking at a screen, whether it is a television, game, phone, computer, etc. Over the years, as more technology and games have been released, more people, especially children and teenagers, have been spending unhealthy amounts of time looking at screens. This issue is affecting people in both healthy and unhealthy ways. Let's look into them. Well, let's start off with the pros of screen time. The most obvious one being it keeps people occupied, keeps them busy with something to do. Another pro is that screens provide research for educational purposes like school and work, and also for personal information. Me, for example, I like researching Morbius, of course. Star Wars, Lego, Morbius. I use screens to inform me about certain topics I didn't know that much about, which is what a majority of teenagers using screens do. Speaking of teenagers, socializing, screens, mainly phones, are used by teenagers and children because of social media, which isn't a bad thing. It allows people to make friends, talk to friends, and form relationships, which will make people happy. So it's a good thing. There's also bullying, but we'll get into that in the cons. Yeah, socializing is a big thing with screens. It's not just phones either. Consoles like Xbox, PlayStation, and Nintendo Switch. These games allow a thing called voice chat, which is like a call but live with people around the world, or even just with your friends. There's typing chat, which is just texting, and swear words and profanity can be filtered from the games if the parents don't want to expose their children to the horrendous words from game chats. Now, that's all the pros I have, so let's move on to the cons, okay? So cons, first up, we have headaches. Staring at a bright screen for a long time or all day is not good for your eyes and brain, obviously. But some people just stare at a screen all day playing games, watching videos, and posting social media posts. It is not good for them, which is why most people have to wear glasses or have seizures. Speaking of seizures, most games these days have an epilepsy warning at the start of the game or on the game cover to prevent seizures, basically telling you to consult your doctor about playing that particular game, which is really good as most older games never had or even thought to have that. Another con is cyberbullying and harassment in games and social media. Possibly the greatest issue with screens and technology. People, mostly young adults, are so pathetic they waste all their time preying on children and straight up harassing them, saying the most awful things imaginable. Some people even get really bad mental illnesses from these comments and even commit suicide if it's bad enough. Thankfully though, there is an option to report a player or person to the game and app's developers, where there is a list of things to report the player for doing. They access the chat of everything they did, and they can do a variety of things to the player and user, like banning them, removing them entirely, and in some rare cases, if it's bad enough, contact the authorities, which like I said is rare but has happened in the past. Yeah, that's all the cons I thought of. A few more honorable mentions are people missing out on work and school, wasting all their money, and yeah, small things like that. Now you're probably wondering, how do I know so much about this? Or do I have any evidence? And for that, I will tell you the truth. I do have some sources for evidence. I have a YouTube video and an article/website. To start off, the YouTube video is named "What Staring at a Screen All Day is Doing to Your Brain" by YouTuber Tech Insider. And the creator here goes into great detail about, well, almost everything I've been saying, how it affects your brain, causes headaches, migraines, etc. But he makes a great point. Screen time is fine for kids and teenagers, but it's just that a lot of screen time is bad for them. Now you are probably wondering, how do I know this stuff? Well, I've been doing a lot of research on the topic and found some sources which could back up my statement. But of course, I can't use all of them. Instead, I'll use 3: a YouTube video, which I just looked at, a website, and a news article. First up, the YouTube video. I was browsing through YouTube after searching up screen time and found a certain video, as I just talked about. Yeah, they did bring up the fact, though, that teenagers use screens more than anyone else, like adults, elderly people, etc., which I totally agree on. They spend way too much time on their phones, but they also mentioned screen time has benefits and can be good too, but too much screen time is bad. Now onto the news article. I found one called The Negative Effects of Screen Time for Adults and Children by Aris Mosley. This one was the same, saying positives and negatives, but the author used different negatives such as sleep, anxiety, back and neck problems, and obesity for mostly children again. And all the websites I found were all the same, saying everything I have mentioned, and that news article is basically a website, so I don't really need to explain them to you. I will provide the links in the description of this podcast. Alright, that is all the information I have for you today. I hope I have taught you something or some things about screen time. I hope I can make a positive impact on your mind next time you or someone you know wants to use screens for a long period of time. Farewell, fellow listeners, and have a more-tastic day.